This is the Morning Swim Show for Monday, December 14th, 2009. I'm your host, Peter Bush. We'll have your tip of the week later in the show. But first, an interview with Roque Santos, the 1992 U.S. Olympian, still very involved with the sport, both in and out of the pool. Last week, he broke a new Masters world record, and Roque spent this past weekend at the Junior Nationals in Columbus, Ohio. That's where he joins us right now from on Skype. Roque, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Peter. And yourself?
Doing well, thank you. You know, at the Junior Nationals, what do you see from America's young breaststroke talent?
Well, the deal that I believe that potential that kids have is huge, and the more kids you have competing and swimming, I think the faster. I think that'll push the faster people up. And I know this Junior Nationals compared to last year has doubled in size, and that makes for a very exciting competition and fast swimming. So there has been fast swimming here, and Junior National records broken. So that's great for the sport.
Well, if you're an American swimming fan, you haven't been that pleased with the results from breaststroke lately. I mean, Jeff Cummings and I were doing the math, and we couldn't believe it. It's 1992 was the last time U.S. won an Olympic medal in one of the breaststroke events. Does that surprise you?
It really does, because I know all the breaststrokers that have made all those teams, and those guys were real good, and they trained really hard. You got Curl-Burke, you got Brendan Hansen. And then who swam this last year? Those guys are all good breaststrokers.
I should qualify. We're just talking about men there, obviously, because there have been some women. So you've got that as the backdrop. So do you see any names particularly, and from your analysis, your breaststroke expert, that you see, hey, this guy's got 2012 written all over him?
Well, I'm partial to Sean Mahoney from Cal. I went to Cal. Sean Mahoney's, basically lives in my backyard, and I've known him since he's about 12 years old. So I look at him. I got to meet a couple great breaststrokers this last year, and from America, Eric was good, and I like Scott Spann. I like the fact that his dad swam and his sister swims. So those guys I see as the next up and coming breaststrokers. But here, it's hard to tell, because all of these kids could be great breaststrokers. It's just a matter of finding that right coach and having that right motivation. And I think that there's a lot of them here. On
the international scene right now, for the men and the women, there's a really deep field. I can't remember, when's the last time you remember such a deep field of, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 guys that could be considered the best breaststroker in the world right now.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Yeah. Isn't that much better? I mean, if we were Las Vegas, we'd probably lose no matter who we picked. And that's what I love about the sport. I know I have my personal favorites, is like a Sean Mahoney, someone you watch grow up, so I'm kind of partial to them, but there's tons and tons of great swimmers. I'm also partial to a lot of the American breaststrokers. A couple of them went to Cal, and then there's who's on the show last week, Anna Mae Pierce, I'm partial to, because Joseph was my coach. And so that's, to me, the best part of the sport, is being a fan of the sport, is to watch these people and really cheer for them and be excited when they lose, and be, of course, upset when they don't.
Last weekend in Long Beach, you did some damage of your own. You still got it, Roque. You're breaking world records in the 200 IM and coming up just short in the 200 breaststroke, but still fantastic swims. Well,
thank you. The first thing is that it was a great meet. I think the meet had doubled since the year before. There's over 640 master swimmers there. The meet went till real late at night, and it was just great for the sport. Everybody was supporting the suit, and I, of course, love the suits, and I got to wear mine, and I think that helped me out big time, and it was just really fun. And as a master swimmer, you really look forward to racing in those suits, and so I, tried to get in a little bit better shape and see how I can do. And there's this Italian guy who's just a stud, and I just came up short 3 times in the breaststrokes to him, and I don't know if I can get him.
Well, our own Jeff Cummings has been pretty good at those meets lately, too. He's breaking his own world records.
Yeah, and, I got to swim next to Jeff, and what a great thrill. And I'd like to say I beat him once, but most of the time, especially in the breaststroke, he destroyed me. But it's always an honor to get to swim next to him and race him.
Now, here's what I'm thinking. Jeff says he can't swim the 200 anymore. I don't know if that's true, but you're a 200 guy. Jeff is now focused on the sprints and the 100 a little bit more. What if you guys met halfway and raced a 150 at one of these meets?
I think if Jeff wanted to, he can destroy me.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Jeff's giving me the eyebrows, so I don't know.
He probably doesn't like that. He doesn't like that pressure.
That sounds like a Swimming World made for Swimming World TV matchup that we're gonna have to put together one of these times.
And I think, for me, that's why I still swim. Is it's fun to look forward to swimming against a guy like Jeff. Even if I win or lose, or it was awesome for me last May. I swam against a guy, Kirk Stackle, who's an '88 Olympian. He's my age, and I won 2 races. He won 2 races, but to get to race against him, then you start training a little bit harder. And to me, that's the true love of the sport and what I love about swimming.
Well, Roque, thank you so much for joining us. We're glad you're still involved in the sport, both in and out of the pool, and happy holidays.
Oh, happy holidays to you, and congratulations on your newborn baby girl.
Thank you, Roque. Appreciate it. That's Roque Santos joining us, and we'll be right back with our tip of the week.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season.
You get more power and more space. The world gets fewer smog-forming emissions. The 3rd generation Prius. It's harmony between man, nature, and machine.
Welcome back. Here's a training tip from Coach Rick Curl.
When it comes to taper, you've been quoted as saying that taper is all in the athlete's head, and that there's no reason a taper shouldn't work because it's all mental. Is that still something you hold to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty simple-minded guy. If you do a lot of hard work, and then you back off the work, your body's, there's super compensation that does happen. So, you're ready to go, you're ready to go. I mean, physiologically, you are ready to go. There's nothing scientifically that would lead anyone to believe that if you do hard work and then you back off the hard work, you're going to super compensate and you're going to have energy stores that are just bursting, waiting to happen. So yeah, so I think if you taper and don't do well, you probably need to look between the ears.
How much does that simplify the whole process for both coaches and swimmers?
Yeah.
I mean, that attitude is almost a savior in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I like it simple. I think kids like it simple too. I think sometimes coaches get so bogged down with a creative way to work. And look, we are artists, not scientists for the most part. Every kid is different. They all need different language. They need a different feel. Some of them need to be dealt with sternly. Others, you don't want to go there. But especially during that temperamental time, because they all have different levels of anxiety, especially in a big meet. So you have to know your athlete and do it right. But physiologically, it's real simple. And I think athletes too. I mean, Tom's the one that said, the 2 400 IM world records that he had, those were not the 2 races that he felt the best in. So he said, basically, he just got to make it happen. But he was a believer from day one. I mean, he believed in everything that we did. And you got to have that. I mean, an athlete's got to believe in their coach, and the coach has got to listen to the athlete to an extent, and then challenge the athlete is my philosophy. But at the end of the day, when you get to the end of the meet, give them some rest. They should be on fire.
And that's it for our show today. Tomorrow on the show, American backstroker Nick Thoman talking about his upcoming competition, the Duel in the Pool. We'll see you then. I'm Peter Bush reminding you to keep your head down at the finish.